Welcome back, folks, to the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast. On today's show, we have an old friend, Steve Robinson from the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors. He's a past president, and he's been in the lighting game for a long time, man. Hey, Greg? Not saying he's old or
Yeah.
anything.
No, but he's someone that I've really looked up to and learned a lot over the years at the NAILD convention. He knows how to run a lighting business. He knows lighting. I don't know what we wrote in the article, but he's a lighting badass, as you say. He knows his stuff, and he's good at it.
So thank you for Steve Robinson for coming on the show and sharing some of your knowledge with the Get a Grip on Lighting audience. This episode of the show is brought to you by Aon LED Lighting. That's AonLEDlighting.com, baby. Greggy, whoa, throw it up on the screen for the YouTube viewers. Scott, what do we got from Aon LED Lighting today?
Well, they have a nice new video that's going to be linked on their website. You can see and watch it. It's really about 3 minutes, which will really give you all the information you need on this. But a couple highlights and things that I picked up on is their UGR rating is 19. UGR, that's something we're going to have to dive into on this podcast, but it's Unified Glare Rating. It's on a scale from 5 to 40. So 19 is a really low level for glare and something that's important in sports lighting. So they're taking that into account. They're not putting up glare bombs when they're doing the sports lighting or sports field. They're making something that's visually comfortable. So you're playing sports, you got to catch a pop fly, the ball's up in the air, whatever it might be. You're not going to be glare bombed out by their LEDs. They do it right.
So check out that video. We're also going to link to it on our website. So if you're on the getagriponlighting.com website right now streaming this, you can just go down below and click their video. They'd love it if you did that. And of course, go to AonLEDlighting.com. That's Aon, AEON, LED, lighting, LIGHTING.com, baby. AonLEDlighting.com. Check out their stuff. And of course, the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors, of which Steve Robinson is a long-standing member. And we appreciated him coming on the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast. So thank you, Steve, and your membership in NAILD. Folks, enjoy. Welcome to the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast, Steve.
How are you, Michael?
Doing well.
Greg?
Steve, good to have you.
Thanks.
This has taken too long, actually. But cheers.
You should have been about guest one.
I know.
Yeah, well, see if...
Steve, tell me, how did you come to be a NAILD member, and why has this organization been so important to you? And I know it's important to you.
Well, it's probably been 25 years, and I was introduced to NAILD by an old GE guy named Ron Galati from Retrofit Design Lighting. He's still in the business, works for a rep agency, but I was buying some stuff from him, lining up all vendors when I started my company from scratch. So I didn't have enough vendors, and I wasn't even doing $1 million in sales yet, but NAILD let me in like below the level of what you're supposed to. Mm-hmm. And it really kind of helped me. My first convention was at St. Petersburg.
Okay.
And I didn't even stay there because I wasn't sure what I was going to do.
Yeah.
I stayed with my aunt's house.
Okay.
And it was kind of eye-opening because it was still the wild NAILD West, and the parties were extreme.
We want to bring those back.
We're trying right now.
Well, you have to bring. It was a matter of GE, Sylvania, and Philips all fighting to who could throw.
Current powered by GE.
Yeah, Signify,
Lead Vents.
That's what I meant. I'm dating myself. So it was really who could throw the best party.
Sure.
That's the way it was, and it was that way for probably 15 years.
I think I should be the judge of that.
Yeah.
Who has
we should bring who could throw the best party. That would be like a fun thing to judge.
Hit all the shows.
I think lighting, I think business. I think there was in the early 2000s into like 2008, you started to see people turn against the party atmosphere and the drinking atmosphere in business.
Yeah.
And people really turned against it hard. And there was like this idea that you couldn't let loose, you couldn't have any fun. And I think people have had enough of that. Actually, 10 years later, I think people are wanting a little bit more from their conventions. They want to bring back that personality.
Well, it's not just the personality, Michael. It's actually, loose lips sink ships, but loose lips will also tell you what you want to know.
Sure.
Exactly.
And this association has always been honest. It's about honesty and about sharing, roots to your success. Mm-hmm. And how you got there. And you and I don't compete. If you ask me a question, I'll give you an honest answer about and I've gotten so many of those types of tips at the old hospitality suite.
Sure.
When the president was bartending, the vice president was assistant bartender, that kind of stuff, and we supplied the bar. It was a different time,
Yeah.
So you started
No drink tickets then.
No drink tickets. Just keep pouring.
Yeah.
You started your business from scratch.
Yeah, 1989.
No lighting background before.
No, I worked for a company out of Virginia Beach called Polar Lighting Products.
Doing
And,
something similar.
Well, to make a long story short, I was dating my girlfriend, my wife, and
How'd that go?
well, she's still my wife.
It's still working.
Actually, how I managed to become her wife or her husband was Jim Goodwin was working for Polar Lighting in Massachusetts, his territory, and I was getting out of Northeastern University, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't want to go to work for Brooks Brothers or, these companies where you got to wear a suit every day and they're going to move you every 3 years because, frankly, I'd been moving for 10 years out of high school and just wanted to go to one place and build the territory. So I took a job selling lighting in Connecticut with nobody. I didn't have any customers. Draw against commission, independent contractor. I worked.
It works, yeah.
Yeah, I worked for him for 3 months and I owed him money. I'm like, didn't quite. After a while, it was quite different. All the customers were my customers. They didn't see the other company, so my opportunity came when the owner of the company I worked for didn't want to get involved in those silly rebates.
Yeah,
I'm like, are you effing kidding
Are
me?
you crazy? Yeah.
It literally was, they were giving them away for free, little Enertron screw-in retrofits with the plug-in lamps.
Sure.
They're giving $15 for something, and that was the opportunity that I took. I said, well, I'll pick up this line and just do it for myself because, it was a easy way to start.
You think it's possible to start a lighting company today?
Sure it is, dude. There's people, 15 of them just opened up in the last 5 years, and it's a 15-minute walk from my shop.
Do you think it's the same? I mean, do you think they have the same?
I think it's based on rebates. I think he started his business with rebates, and they started their business with rebates.
Well, and that's why people say, well, when will rebates end? And I'm like, it couldn't be sooner for me because they brought my company to fruition, and they bring a lot of less than ethical people into the industry.
I don't know if ethical is the right word.
Well,
I think maybe it's ignorant.
I've
They
seen
just
some
don't know
shady.
much
I've seen
why.
some shady deals and some
Have you? Yeah.
some weak promises that they knew they couldn't fulfill, but and they are in the areas with the highest rebates generally. So when rebates go away, they kind of disappear.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the biggest barrier to entry nowadays is you want to play in my market, you've got to have deep pockets because my utility incentives are not paid, net 30. I have,
Are they paid to Wattsaver directly?
many of the contractual utility incentives are written into the contract that we get the incentive.
Okay.
And it's the way the customer wants it. It's actually the way we want it too, because that's our.
Sure.
Usually it ends up being like the profit.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
but it gets to be a large amount. And sometimes the utility company loses your folder, and they, we have a separate account for receivables from the various utility
So
companies
you're
we deal with.
financing the utilities rebate program.
Yeah, pretty much.
How's that working out, eh?
Well, I mean, but like I said,
lighting, now I'm a financier without interest.
yeah, but the way it works is you cannot, unless you have very deep pockets or a very large line of credit, and nobody just getting into any business is going to be able to have either unless you get a backer to be able to front all of the materials, all of the labor, all of the stuff that you have to buy for a project, and then wait 90, 120, 150 days for $300,000.
So I have 2.5 guys that manage the project work for us. So like just where it's, whatever. You have to put labor together with materials and, a permit from the Electrical Safety Authority and the rebate and put it all together. I've been coaching them recently on how to buy and order the materials better so that we don't owe the money fast.
Right.
Like,
Stage it.
You don't order 10 skids of lights. Where are you going to put them? And kind of coaching that because you look at the cash flow, and there'll be times where,
Well, what you want to do is you want to make sure it's at the vendor you're buying it from. So you give them an order and you tell them, don't ship it to me until this, and this date. And we'll bring in, if it's 10 skids for the whole project, we'll bring in 4 to start with.
Yeah.
And then we'll schedule it where we'll deliver 2 to the job site, keep 2. When he's ready, he'll take 2 more, we'll take 2 more.
Sure.
And then he'll send me 4. and then
And now you're getting invoiced from your vendor over 6 weeks. And
or whatever period of time. Yeah,
exactly.
And it's instead of ordering out 10 pallets and having it sit in your warehouse and
take up space. And
it's just in time. But you have to have a manufacturer that also wants to play the game too. It has to, he'd like to send it all to you and bill you.
For sure he would.
Because but you have to. It's only fair.
Sure.
Now you guys are keeping, compared to a lot of other nailed members or distributors, a lot in inventory.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
Right.
What is the reason for that, or why do you see the need to keep?
Well, we're probably 50% project, 50% MRO. So and our counter is very busy. So the counter drives inventory in a lot of ways that you have to have what customers walk in the door expecting to have, and they walk in the door for lighting on our end. It's no pipe, wire, conduit, and cable. But if you need anything that's at the end of the wire, is how we go to work. We basically go everything at the end of the wire. So they want to walk in the door and find it right there. Not a project, but 25 high base. I need them in stock.
Yeah, sure.
What percentage of your sales are to contractors?
40%. Yeah. Rest would be MRO and project work.
Sure.
We become
What does MRO stand for?
maintenance, repair, and operational supply.
I thought we learned that on the show a while ago.
I think it was maintenance reorder was another one we heard.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like
It means you're selling light bulbs.
yeah,
it's basically goes from our
I
shelf
love
goes
MRO,
from our
dude.
shelf
There's
to those
nothing better-
shelves.
There's nothing better than get a nice $500 MRO order.
Yeah, and
Ship it out.
And no matter what project, how juicy the projects look, you never want to give up that MRO account because they also feed the project work.
Yeah, for sure.
When you have a customer and they end up wanting to do a project, why wouldn't you do it with the guy who's been supplying you all along? Because if something shits the bed, you don't have to go looking very far.
Yeah.
And that's just it's good to have those customers as your customers.
How are rebates in the Northeast?
Very good.
As a whole,
They're very
still
good.
solid.
They're still, supposedly it's for 3 more years, and that's what we hear. But they've gone into a phase system where they're trying to push controls. They've gone to on a contractual basis type rebates. They've gone to a 3-tiered level: 25, 45, and 65%. You sell an LED fixture, you get 25% of the install cost.
No matter what the cost?
No, or 25 cents a kilowatt hour.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And if you put controls on it, like a fixture
That's a
based,
good rebate, actually. 25 cents a kilowatt hour.
Yeah.
yeah, or a fixture based motion sensor, daylight harvester, that gets you 45%.
Okay.
Or 45 cents a kilowatt hour. And then you can go to network building control, whole fixture packages with network controls is a 65% incentive or 65 cents a kilowatt hour, which sounds like a really great program, but there's all kinds of stipulations. The fixture have to have demand response. You've got to be able to provide demand response. You've got to be able to do reporting. So you've got to give them a report.
But how are you, conceptually, are you into network controls or connected lighting or anything
Well,
like that?
we're by nature we're forced to get into it, and the utilities are pushing people down that road because they've got to they're being asked by the people who allow them to take money from the utility users, because that's who pays the utility rebate.
Yeah, sure, rate-based program.
They're being told that they want verification that the money that they're charging the ratepayers is actually saving the amount that they're claiming. And by pushing the higher dollar values to a reporting basis, network controls, then you're allowing, they hold that 65% rebate for up to 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah, so you want to be a bank for a project,
I didn't know you were a financier.
No, I don't want to be. It's not the whole 65%, but they'll hold something back till they get that 6 months of reporting that shows what you said the savings are going to be are actual. And if they're not actual, they're going to cut that rebate a little bit. So it's very risky to get to that 65% level from my standpoint, or from even the end user customer, because I'll write a contract saying I'm not guaranteed the 65%. It's whatever they're going to get is what I'm going to deduct from your invoice.
What do you see in average kilowatt rates in your area?
17 to 19 cents.
There you go.
Whoa, per kilowatt hour.
Yeah.
And if you're a really big user, you might get down to 14, 15, even though it's unregulated.
That's harmonized. That's like taking kilowatt hours and dividing it by taking the cost and dividing it by the kilowatt hours. It's a
Right. on your
It's
electric
19
bill, if you
cents.
add up your whole electric bill,
Yeah,
it's
divided
basically
by the cost.
a blended rate.
Yeah, blended rate. Yeah, that's
You know,
what- that's
including
right.
your demand, including all the other charges. You
Yeah,
know, and
sure.
they have a utility charge for energy efficiency.
That's more than Ontario. I'm surprised by that,
You
actually.
know, we're right up there. I think we're third or fourth in the country
Yeah,
as far as
Toronto's,
highest rates.
Ontario's 14 cents a kilowatt hour.
We
which
looked
is-
at when we talked to Rebate Bus. They talked about the different states by efficiency, and I think Massachusetts is number one.
Yes, they are.
terms of-
They've had
No, not
programs.
efficiency, adoption of LED technology.
Is that
I think
what it was?
Yeah, adoption.
Well, they're right up there in the other category too. I know they've had programs the longest. You know, Jim's been up there. He covers Massachusetts, the Worcester,
Who's Jim?
Worcester to Boston.
Tim Goodall, yeah.
Jim.
Yeah,
okay.
Jim's ex-board member of NAIL.
What percent of the market in your area do you think is already converted to LED?
Not as big as a lot of people would think. It's probably only 25 to 35%.
About where I feel too. You've always feel stronger.
I think it's about 40%. But I mean, this is anecdotal. I'm just guessing.
I have that's just.
But I mean, this
like,
idea that 8 to 12%, I go no.
I like flying. I like flying over in planes. That's why I always get a window seat. You know,
HPS?
And,
See the
yeah.
yellow and
I can tell the HPS. I can tell metal halide from HPS from LED just by the uniformity.
Yeah, sure.
You have a parking lot or a roadway, you can tell which towns are. In Connecticut, the municipals are all flipping they have to buy back their old legacy fixtures from the utility and then put the heads on.
Yeah.
It's kind of a unique system because the utility company owns those heads.
Oh yeah.
You know, and you have to buy them from them, and then you can put your own LEDs on and get off their nickel, and that's what the towns are doing.
So they have to buy the head at its depreciated rate.
Correct.
Interesting about depreciation. So
Yeah.
one of the things that we noted on a previous show that we did was that we may have increased the lifetime of the light source. So let's say your metal halide, instead of 15 or 20,000 hours, your LED is 50,000 hours. But we've actually reduced the life cycle of the fixture. So you take a purpose-built LED light fixture, the life cycle of that fixture is maximum 15 years.
Well, not if you're picking your light fixture correctly. Many of the manufacturers are getting modular. So
Okay.
you want to take a fixture and drop the door frame down, 2 clips and a screw. You take the driver out, 2 more clips. You slide the LED board out, and slide in a more efficient board. There are a number of manufacturers that are making their fixtures like that, so that
But
when
the
the
components aren't interreplaceable between manufacturers.
but within the same manufacturer.
So
is
you're
what I'm
locked
saying.
Yeah, but the problem is you're locked in, and
Well,
if they still make.
But
that-
I'd still rather be locked into a board than having to buy a whole new fixture.
I don't want. I think it's. But what I'm saying is that if you don't have modularity to your LED purpose-built or your LED fixture, you're looking at a life cycle of 7 to 12 years.
Yeah.
Whereas a fluorescent luminaire, the life cycle is what, 40 years, 30 to 40
You
years.
can extend that by just bypassing a ballast and
Yeah.
throwing an AC tube in there.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing more, primarily? Are you doing a lot more purpose-built modular?
Well,
fixtures?
they don't rebate anything but Type C in a
So you're
contractual
saying
basis.
You're listening to what the utility company? That's how you're selling? Like everyone?
Yeah, they're telling you what to sell,
Right.
which is Type C, which is driver.
External
Driver and
external driver on LED tubes.
Correct.
That's the worst
I know.
one.
I know. Well, we are. You can't even get an instant rebate on a
Like Type A is so
Driverless.
obvious. Come
Right.
on, they won't
No, no,
send Type
no.
A.
How many utility companies do you deal with? And I mean, you're Connecticut, Massachusetts.
Well, Connecticut has 5. Massachusetts has 3, I believe, except for a couple small munis. I don't know all the muni. There's the 2 big ones in Connecticut are Eversource and United Illuminating, which is Vanguard, or they were bought by a French company. I don't know the name offhand, and then there's 5 or 6 individual town utilities where the town actually owns the utility company for the town, and they all have programs just about, and some of them are very good, but you have to know the right people and.
Sure.
Are they all on the Type C bandwagon?
Yep.
Everyone on the East
Yep.
Coast? Wasn't that the start of the DLC? Those organizations or not?
No,
Northeast?
Eversource and National Grid were 2 of the
Tina
founding.
Hackney's from Boston, I think. Too.
Eversource and National Grid are 2 of the founding members of the DLC.
Okay.
And I did go to a DLC meeting in the Northeast. I was the only distributor there. I felt like I was like a spy or something.
What year was that? You remember?
Probably 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago.
It's changed a little.
Yeah, the
since.
rocket's taking
Oh, yeah.
off for that organization. Yeah. Holy mackerel.
So what do you think is going to happen to your business if rebates go away?
Well, we've had periods of time where they've gone away, and efficiency still happened. You know, you get rid of that very first question a customer asks when you're trying to sell them a project. The first question you ask is what's the rebate?
Yeah.
And they don't ask what the return on investment is. They don't for net operating income from the project. They just want to know what's the rebate.
Sure.
And efficiency will still be there. I don't know that prices will change much. I don't foresee. I foresee a lot of the low fruit guys are gone. The low hanging fruit, they're just there to scam up rebates, because we have a lot of people who are. If the utility program and an instant rebate program upstream goes minimum customer contribution $20 or $2 or $5, we charge that and we make the customer pay for it. But not everybody out there is doing that. We walk into an MRO account of ours and there'll be 4 pallets of LED A lamps at a hotel, for instance.
Yeah.
And they go, "Oh, where'd you get those?" "Oh, we got them for free."
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, who's that name?"
Yeah. Exactly.
Write them down, and
Yeah.
it's not right, but you get rid of all that if you take away the incentives, and I don't think it's going to hurt business much.
I just realized listening to you that you said you've gone through periods of no incentives.
Well, we've had our governor take our utility funds and put them in the general fund of the state at least twice now.
How'd that go?
Well, when
to
when it ends suddenly like that, and
That's
it's
brutal, yeah.
it's a little bit rough.
Yeah.
So they just put a chop on it.
Yeah. Well, we didn't meet our revenue goals, so let's reach over here and grab this $80 million out of the energy efficiency fund and throw it in the general fund.
Ooh,
Yeah.
dirty.
And it puts and it puts a lot of people out of work. I mean, my employees will always have work because we sell stuff, But the electrical contractors that are the ESCOs and all the people that make a living on installing it and servicing.
Yeah, there's an addiction to rebates that we need to address a little bit.
I think it's something like 18 or 20,000 people lost their jobs when the governor took that $80 million.
That many?
Wow.
Yeah.
Mackerel.
Just like, we don't have work for you anymore.
I haven't not had a rebate in 16 years.
Well, it's been, except for those brief periods.
16 consecutive years.
Except for
balling
those-
on rebates.
Except for those brief periods, it's been since 1989 that they've had rebates in the Northeast.
I think it's as addictive as
30
heroin.
30 years.
I think so. They're up there.
It's up there. Oh man. So, are you in the game for much longer, Steve? The word on the street, buddy.
What word on the street?
I don't know, man. This we're telling
Well,
me.
you're not
Steve.
going to get any news flashes here.
No news flashes here. Has lighting been good to you?
Very good.
Yeah,
I made a great living, and I enjoy what I do.
I can tell that you do, man. You can see it with a lot of the Nailed members, but Steve particularly, you like it.
It's fun driving down the street. "Oh, honey, look at that parking lot. We did that parking lot last week," and I'll take her on a ride through it and go, "Look at the uniformity." She's looking at me like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, I had to stop
geek.
talking to my wife about lighting.
Yeah.
I had to stop. How about you?
Yeah, same thing. But that's what's awesome about it is the variety. Is you're in every different type of business. Or, I mean, potentially.
Yeah, for sure.
I actually put her to work once out at a Walmart in Brooklyn, Connecticut, and the Walmart was the town wouldn't give them their permit because their parking lot was too well lit, and basically it was designed to a certain specification, but they used a 0.9 light loss factor, and the town approved 2.5-foot candles everywhere, 4 in front of the doors, and somebody went out there with a light meter and said it was 3 and 5. But they to try and explain to the board of the woman who didn't want Walmart there anyway was not going to give them a permanent CO, and they only had a temporary CO. So Walmart hired me to go around with a light meter and plot every location. So my wife and I did it on a Friday night, and then we went to dinner and had a bottle of wine in a winery out there.
You're such a romantic guy, Steve Robinson.
He's combining lighting and romance. Huh?
Yeah, why not?
Lighting and romance. That's the way to do it.
It's paid the bills for 30 years.
Sure, man.
That's great.
Sure.
So, kind of tying it back into Nailed and how we know you, and what do you feel makes it a strong association, or has kept you in it? What about it specifically?
Well, I think the it's one of those rare occasions where you can actually sit down with people who do the same thing as you and are willing to share, their secrets and their, over a beer or just, sitting on a bench talking about this. The educational side is great, but I think I get more out of the individual networking time. I'm a little disappointed, all you ex-presidents out there, for not being here, because they're the ones that have led to my success in many respects.
I owe Neil a ton, man.
Yeah,
we all do,
I mean,
for sure.
I followed.
And you know what? God bless Paul Hafner, because that guy was.
I followed Bill Hurd, Wendell Strong, Gordon Hunt through the whole board president thing, and those meetings were always, you're there for 4 days. You're not talking purely business the whole time. It was really helpful for me.
That's a strong board, actually. You just laid out there.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
you got it down to me and the other guys.
Well,
yeah.
I think everybody's done a good job.
Steve, anything else to say to the audience out there in the lighting world? All the new guys coming up. Any advice for them?
No, I think that this association still has a lot of relevance, and there are times when it's been a struggle. The Nugget, the Nugget, compared to Palm Springs. And it's hard. There's still people that want that party.
Sure.
And there's still, but it we should be able to find a way to blend both the party and the education.
I think Neil does that best, actually.
And still make it a worthwhile conference. It's just, I don't know, the younger people who are trying to build a business don't understand the fact that they need to be here.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that.
And that's really what's missing.
Yeah, you need to be here.
Get them signed up.
Steve Robinson.
Where else can I impart my wisdom upon?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know what? I would say that thank you for imparting your wisdom on me on many occasions.
And
actually,
me as well. Yeah.
there was times when we had some great talks, and there's a lot of mentorship in Neil, dude.
For sure.
There really is. And I remember a lot of the guys, like some of them are not in lighting anymore, some of them are not in nailed anymore, or whatever. Like a Randy Johnson, dude.
Yeah. For sure.
I had so many great conversations with Rand, technical conversations, where he's just like,
smart guy.
No, this is like this.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, choose, okay, do it that way, whatever. And
Randy had quite a voice too. He used to be up on the band. GE used to throw a party where they brought in the GE band from. They have their own band back in the day, and they would bring in the band and Randy and his cohort there. I can see his face, I can't remember. But anyway, they would get up there and they would sing with the band, and it was a pretty good time.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll bring it back to that.
Yeah.
We're gonna go for it. Steve Robinson, thanks for being a guest on the Get a Grip on Lighting
Thank
podcast.
you for having me.
Took too long, man.
Thanks, Greg.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right.
AeonLEDlighting.com. That's AeonLEDLIGHTING.com, baby. AeonLEDlighting.com. There's a great video you can watch on their low glare sports lighting. Right on the link. Links right on the GetAGripOnLighting.com website.
Yeah, about a 3-minute video that will really do it justice on what it is, but some of the highlights. We talked about the UGR at the beginning. We're not going to go into that again, but 140 lumens per watt, IP65, and different beam angles that are field changeable. So distributions of light that you can actually change in the field, which is important because sometimes venues change. Sometimes your purpose of the lighting changes, and they can do that easily with this fixture.
Well, you don't want to just smash as much light as you can out there, do you, Greg? I mean, sometimes you want to target that light.
Exactly. You want it to light what you're trying to light. And this has flexibility to do that.
You know what's interesting about that? I bet you a lot of people just smash as much light as they can. I bet you most small sport fields are based on that principle. Like,
I would say so.
Call Tony, our electrician. Tell him to put some of those the high bay lights that we have in the factory. Put them up there, so we can see good.
Make them bright, brighter than what I got. They better be glary.
Yeah, pretty good, eh? So we're gonna put some of those up there. I got Jimmy the electrician. So I think Aeon's move into the sports lighting arena, bringing it out there, advertising it as such, is a really, really timely and smart move right now, because I actually think that the sports lighting is the most sensitive application in the industry, which hasn't been treated with care by the industry. The average small, not small, but small to medium sized sporting venue in Canada, United States has largely been lighting designer free. Let's say that. And on top of that, I also think it's the total no brainer for controls. Like, if there ever was an application where controls just made so much sense. Where's the key, man? Oh, Jimmy's got the key. He's away for Independence Day. Oh, how do I get in there and turn off the light, turn on the... We can't play the baseball game. Oh, we're trying to have something different. Dude, it just makes so much sense to tell all the coaches, look, at the beginning of the season, here's the app. This is your login. Turn off the lights when you're done, okay? And if setting 1 is baseball, setting 2 is football, and setting 3 and 4 are fair, nighttime fair setting or whatever it is. This makes so much sense, man.
Welcome to my fall nightmare with the Youth Football Association I'm part of. I have a key. How many other people do? Not many.
Well, you would have a key. You'd be the first guy to go make a copy of it right away, right?
I'd copy it and hand it out, right?
But
do controls.
Yeah, but most people, like most of the time, it's like, and the other thing about controls is you can email or text message a login. You can't email or text message a key. All you're doing is kicking the door down.
That's right.
Get that door, boom, right? We got to play this game tonight. It's championship game. Boom, kick the door down. So, it just makes so much sense, the controls. Because, like, if the guy's up in Muskoka or wherever, in his cabin in Minnesota or whatever, Muskoka's in Ontario out there. But if the guy's up there and he's got his phone on, hey, man, what's the login? Oh, yeah, shoot. Ooh, done. And there's probably 15 people you could email on the association's board or whatever it is that are going to have a code. So it just makes so much sense. Come on, folks. Steve Robinson, thank you for coming on the show. It makes so much sense that you're a member of NAILD. Actually, because you are the godfather. No, Brown. Mr. Brown is the godfather. What's Steve Robinson?
He might be the godfather of NAILD. NAILD that has some legends, and he's one of them that's really developed it into the organization it is today.
Steve Robinson.
Him, it won't be where it is.
Yeah, sure. Steve Robinson's the one who asked me to be on the NAILD board. I remember when he called me, too. I actually remember the day he called me. I was at my old house. It was 2009. And he called me up, and I said I had to ask my dad.
Let me check with my dad.
Let me check with my dad real quick. Make sure he says it's okay. I remember that. And I remember going to my dad, and he's like, well, what do they want you to do? I'm like, I don't really know, Dad. That was how it started, man. 10 years later.
Steve's calling. I better reply.
Yeah, you know what? And I just learned so much from guys like Steve Robinson at NAILD. You corner him in the corner and you just say, look, pal, here's the problem I'm having. And he, gives you the information of what it is. Or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he tells you, hey, that's a problem everywhere. Everyone's got the same problem. We all wish we could fix it. Just a long-standing member of NAILD, and always great to have him on the show. Thank you, Steve Robinson. Of course, the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors. Do we have to say more about it after saying that? Come on down.
I don't think so. That defines it.
Meet Steve Robinson. He's a great guy. And his team, actually, Jim, good guy too. Always good to see Jim Goodwin at the convention as well. So, yeah, thanks for coming on the show. And, guys, check out the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors and make sure you use Aeon LED lighting in that sports complex, man. Get after it. I've been trying, actually. We haven't had any luck yet. But I've been trying to nail down some of these municipality level parks and stuff. I look at them and the lights are on. I drive by one every night when I'm going home and they have the lights on. It's on a timer.
Yeah. It's a good thing to target. It's going to go eventually. Might as well get started on it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So we're starting to try to get our feeler. We never really done a lot of that. Have you done a lot of those jobs?
No, I've done one. And it was for the Youth Football Association. I mentioned that I have the key for the lighting net.
We're just doing it. But I mean, yeah. So we're trying to get out there and get after it. A lot of that is like I said, it's lighting designer free. Like nobody's ever thought about it, right? So I lost the ball in the lights. Well, maybe you don't need to do that if you do it right? Maybe if there's a setting for football and for soccer and for whatever sports you're playing. So it's something to get after, guys, and go to aeonledlighting.com, baby. Of course, thank you for listening. We're grateful for our listeners and for you, Greg, Eric, and Scott Wachter, the producer, and all the people in the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors. Thank you for listening.
Written on the rectory wall, there's a sign there for all. If you are lost, the Lord is there to find you.